You're listening to What It's Like with Luce, a podcast highlighting ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host, Lucy Norris, and on today's episode, I'm chatting with former Miss Singapore, serial entrepreneur, and founder of Soul Rich Woman, the #1 female entrepreneur club in Asia. From six-figure debt to millionaire in 1 year, this week's guest hasn't always had it easy. Growing up, she'd been supporting herself and her family since the age of 14 by teaching extracurricular classes, and it was applying for Miss Singapore that changed everything. Mastering the art of confidence, she took what she had learned from pageantry and turned it into a coaching business. Finding success in that field led to investing in a lucrative cafe chain, and finally following her true passion in setting up the support group she currently runs. Expanding across Asia and taking it to #1, Soul Rich Woman has helped thousands achieve their dreams. Talking me through her entire journey, here's what it's like to be Genecia Alluora. I suppose if you don't mind, a good starting point to kick off the whole conversation is to go all the way back to you growing up in Singapore and potentially discuss a bit about where your business mindset developed or what it was like for you growing up.
Well, I was supporting myself through school since I was 14 years old. My mom suddenly, one day, she came to me and said, "You need to work." I'm like, "But I'm 14. Why do I need to do that?" And she said that because family is having some financial difficulties. So she said, it's best for me to explore the outside world. So she pawned her gold that she has and sent me for 3 instructor certifications. One was aerobics, the other one was country line dancing, and also yoga. So I got these 3 certificates at an early age. And from then on, I started working. But it was during this time also, I was often being bullied in school because I couldn't afford a lot of things, and I was often working as well. So I'm always the point of target. I remember there was a time where a group of mean girls came to me and surrounded me at the basketball court. The leader walked up to me, pulled open my PE shirt, exposing my bra, and saying, "Oh, you're wearing the same bra?" And I just felt totally humiliated.
Yeah.
I remember the emotion of humiliation and wanting to commit suicide. And my mom told me this: turn your mess into your message. And that sunk into my heart. So moving forward, I never looked back and keep working on myself. And then it was because of my friends, they encouraged me to join Miss Singapore. And in fact, I wasn't ready because I was an occupational therapist. By then, I was working through the SARS period as well. And I didn't think it was that important to do stuff that it matters, right? So, but my friend said, "Why not you just go try? Never know, right?" And I'm like, okay, why not? So that's why I went and joined Miss Singapore. And eventually I won Miss Singapore Universe runner-up, and then later on winning Miss Singapore International once again.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story. And what do you feel, because I know a lot came from Miss Singapore, which we will chat about as well, but what do you feel you learned from that experience of being in beauty pageants that I suppose you didn't know before you started?
I think the key thing is confidence, finding who I am and what I'm really capable of. That really transformed my life. And that carried on forward as well through my business and my growing years.
Yeah, and that's a massive thing that I feel like we kind of just expect to have, but so much of us don't, and we need help to get there, which I suppose is what you took from that, as you said, and then you took that forward using your business mind to make that into your career. Am I right in saying that? Or what happened next after that?
Yeah, so after winning Miss Singapore, I started a image consultancy firm, and that I was teaching CEOs of companies, leaders of organizations, and I was earning good money. But you see, it came to a point where I work, I get paid, I work, I get paid, I don't work, I don't get paid. So I had a desire to go from offline to online. I wanted to do something different to make a change in my life. So I seek out a mentor and eventually went online in 2013. And I made my first $100,000 in 3 months
Wow.
and $1 million within a single year. And shortly after, I was invited to invest and start a cafe retail chain together with my partners. And I was in charge of the Indonesia market. So we grew it to 3 countries, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And we have 18 franchisees and licensees. And after 4 years, we exited to a public listed company owner. But during this entire time, even though I had all the money and I learned how to do business, transforming myself from being an occupational therapist to an image consultant, and then later on a cafe retail chain business owner. In my heart, I knew I was meant for something more. I knew that I want to be living a life that the universe has called me to do. So that was why I eventually started Soul Rich Woman in 2015, and it has become a network to support women to solve a couple of problems. First is to help women to shortcut their success, no matter at the stage of their business. And number two is to go from offline to online, bring their business and leadership brand online. Last but not least, I serve a group. One of the 3 groups of the women I serve, in fact, the 3 groups of women I serve are: one is the women who are in some women in the Philippines, Myanmar, Vietnam, Thailand. They're only making 250 US, 350 US a month. So when I was traveling on the ground to these countries and finding out that they want to go online and they wanted something that is within their income bracket. So I had this membership subscription that I offered to them to allow them to join us in this network when they have a community while learning at the same time. The other group of women we serve are female entrepreneurs. That means full-fledged retail business owners. They might be running studio, B2B consultancy firms, and they join us as well. So we offer mentorship and coaching, master programs, 50K programs, 100K programs with these women. We also have 9 to 5 employees, 9 to 5 employees who wants to do a side hustle. So we help them to craft out their personal brand, work on what is that side hustle they want to work on, and position themselves as a leader online, especially using podcasting and live streaming and creating online courses. So these are ways that we are serving and helping women. And for myself, my biggest why is always the freedom. The reason why I became an entrepreneur was because I wanted more freedom in my life. And that was why I left the 9 to 5 to, leaving the offline space and going to online. And I have never looked back since. Just remember this, that when you have a dream, I know it's difficult for you to get out of the comfort zone. I'm an occupational therapist by profession. I had no business knowledge. And I still went on to learn and never stop learning. Keep getting out of your comfort zone and going towards your dreams.
Yeah, and you've certainly done that in absolute buckets. I mean, it's incredible to hear where you came from to where you are now, and also how quickly it happened for you. It sounds like, I'm sure it was a hell of a lot of work, but it sounds like it happened very rapidly for you. And I suppose the one thing that I find really interesting, maybe especially with females in business, is that we always seem to doubt ourselves and then maybe come across imposter syndrome quite a lot. So, did you ever experience that imposter syndrome? I suppose as well, you touched on there that, you didn't have business knowledge or anything going into all of this. Was it ever overwhelming, and how did you combat that?
For me, it was more of one of the cultural stuff that is ingrained in me. In Mandarin, it's called 树大招风. It means that when a tree is big, you will have a tendency to attract disasters. So these was a belief somehow subconsciously was ingrained in me. And naturally, I often feel like I'm a fraud because afraid of success. So I knew I had to deal with it. But even before I dealt with it, I would say work on awareness and then find a mentor who could lend you a belief, lend you the courage and kind of work through those processes of transforming my mindset and my belief that I could do it. And then eventually be willing to change. Because for things to change, first, I must change. You can't expect the same kind of results in your business and your life if you're working on the same stuff that you have at the moment. It's like if you don't clear your shit, your hot air balloon won't be able to rise up to the sky. It's like everything is weighing you down, baggages after baggages. So my lesson learned is find a mentor who's willing to kick your ass and whom you are willing to listen to, because there are times where our ego supersedes ourself, and that could be one of the stones that is holding you back. So really find a mentor who can help you with that. The other piece would be really looking into a community as well, working and standing alongside like-minded women who are able to understand you, because you are the average of the 6 people you hang out with the most. Alone you are strong, together we are unstoppable.
Can you take me back to the early days of Soul Rich Woman? What it was like discovering that niche, maybe how you discovered that niche, that there was a gap in the market for something like the services that you provide, and then how easy or difficult it was to establish yourself as, a credible coach in this area.
I've always wanted to do something like that. I mean, because I was an image consultant already, I was doing a lot of group classes, but mainly it was offline. When I went online, I had to look into how to get online. Who do I find as mentors? What kind of courses should I be investing in? So when I went through all these hurdles, buying so many courses, and not everything suits my learning, and became very frustrating for me. So that was one of the propelling factors as to why I wanted to create something to solve the problem and to match the needs of the women here in Southeast Asia. And also because of my cafe retail chain experience. Because of these experience, I was able to walk on the ground and be able to build a licensing system in Soul Rich Women as well for our licensees in other countries. And then later on, moving it online. And even though processes were, you need time to etch in the flow and stuff like that, but along the way we learn that we really need to work together and be able to delegate to a team and not doing it alone. So I saw the opportunity because, like, you must be able to solve one problem immediately for your customers. And to me, I want to solve the problem here in Southeast Asia, right? So there are things that we can solve here. So that was how I positioned the network. And also, women and female entrepreneurship was already on the rise during that period of time, even though it's not as quickly, but still, it was definitely rising. So definitely riding onto the opportunity. And also when I was running the cafe retail chain and moving into this network that I was doing, I was already running a lot of live streaming. So that live streaming that I was doing, I advocate for videos, in fact, at the beginning. And that really helped to propel the membership, because it's more of increasing know, like, trust score, and people getting to know you, the women getting to know you, whether you are there for a season or are you there part-time for a side hustle, or are you just fly by night. So I guess I've proven myself, and it grew. It started to grow online. And last but not least, I mastered the F word, which was the funnels and the Facebook ads. And that really worked like a charm, because if you don't put yourself in front of your customers or potential leads, they will not be able to see you. And nothing grows organically, really. if you want speed, you want momentum, you have to grow fast. So that's how I grew the network. That's how I spot the opportunity. And eventually, as I continue to grow, I looked at how we can continue to serve our customers at different levels. Like I've shared with you, we have different offerings from $12 a month subscription to digital products to a one-day program where you can learn how to create online courses, do podcasting, to learn live streaming. And all these things are kept at a price range where it's affordable for our Southeast Asian women. And of course, eventually moving upscale to help women to grow their business, whether you are 1 million, 5 million, we are working with women around this region. So that in itself help us to continue to love our customers more than we love our products. With this in mind, we continue to grow because you must be able to serve a need before you can reap those rewards.
And you're definitely proven time and time again to be very skilled in, expansion and in growth, as you demonstrated there, and also with your cafe chain as well, how you expanded it across Asia and how you've grown Soul Rich Woman. So do you have maybe a secret to success or your ultimate definition of success, or what's your take on that whole concept?
For me, doing a visualization and always getting up in the morning, doing this part helps me to keep myself sane. You can't give when you are empty. So filling up myself as the founder of the business and keep refilling myself every single day before I get out there and hustling is one of the key pieces that get the business going. Because if us with our ideas and creative flows, we can't even produce, and how can we continue to move forward, right? And of course, plus a team of people. Yeah. So but my success formula, other than that, the visualization and aligning myself in terms of mind, body, and soul, would be really to have a mentor. We won't be able to see our own blind spots. That is why it's important to get one whom can guide you and work with you to grow the business together.
You've done some incredible things in your career. You've spoken with some amazing people and given some incredible talks. So, would you be able to give me, I suppose, a highlight of your career and potentially a low light so far as well of the whole experience?
Wow, I have definitely many highlights and lowlights, but I will say the low light of my business would be when I suffered a six-figure debt because of a failed partnership in my business, and because I did business with friends, right? And
Okay.
when we started a business together, being the biggest shareholder, for me, because I was already running another business, so I offered my money and time to work together on this. However, the two of them decided to continue to draw salary, and things didn't work out as expected. So in the end, the whole thing collapsed. So I suffered a lot of loss from this entire business. One thing I've learned is never to give up, because if I had not gave myself a second chance to a business partnership, I would have not entered into a cafe retail chain business. So lessons I've learned is don't really do business with friends, really have black and white, because even though you can be friends, but how is your value? What are your values of the person when it comes to money, especially? And, if the business, let's say, if the money requires you to top up at the moment, who is going to top up? And if you don't top up, what's going to happen next? So these are things I feel is very important. Last but not least, you really have to get yourself black and white and who is in charge of what, and be really clear about it. And are you okay if your partner sometimes don't have time to do certain parts of the business? Or do you measure by how much time they put in, or how much effort they put in, or what is the KPI in the business itself? So all these are the pieces that I've learned, especially after this very low aspect in my life that has happened to me. One of the highlight I would say is that running Soul Rich Woman allowed me to be in a position to network online and be able to continue to foster international friendships around the world. And that gives me a lot of fun, I would say, brings a lot of fun other than just building a business alone. Because when we are able to make friends online, we don't have to travel. We already can meet people around the world. And that's the most beautiful part about, doing business. I mean, relationship and connection matters, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the incredible power of the internet. I know a lot of people have split opinions on social media and all that kind of thing, whether it does bad or good. But I think the ability to form relationships, just as we're speaking now, you are literally halfway across the world from me right now, two different time zones, and we're able to chat together. So I think that's an incredible tool, and something that's definitely a positive that comes out of the internet.
Yeah, because it is lonely at the top, and the entrepreneur's path to success is one of the most isolating experience. Real connections will make this journey less lonely, and that is why we need the encouragement and support of other women like you and me, because it will give us inspiration and the courage we need to succeed.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And I suppose now that you've established your business and multiple businesses that you run, what do you think is next for you? I know with pandemic and all that kind of stuff, everything's all a bit up in the air. But if you could roughly plan out your future for the next few years, what would you really love to see yourself do?
Right now, as I've mentioned, we are working with the Singapore government. We are running programs called the Skills Future Credit Eligible Programs, where there are millions of Singaporeans given this subsidy, or what we call learning grant, where you can learn through vendor providers like us. So my next few years, we'll be working on this. In fact, this is just one other arm that we have for Soul Rich Women. So it is additional source of income and one other way to reach out to more people. So we aim to train 100,000 Singaporeans in going from offline to online, with this subsidy that they have received from the government to invest in themselves, either to learn about podcasting, live streaming, creating online courses. So this is all, all about coming together and working through not just on the pandemic, but I will say, how do you seize up opportunities in times like this and really work through it in opportunities to achieve and go to the next level?
Yeah, it's incredible to hear how much as well I think that you center your work around helping other people. I feel like it's really refreshing to hear that you've built your whole business around giving back to people and making sure that everyone lives the life they deserve. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, and just as what you said, you deserve, right? Because I deserve to be rich when we add value to people's lives. So if you hear and see the word deserve, Deserve, Serve is serve. So when you serve other people, when you add value to other people's lives, you deserve to be rich. So I believe a lot of times when we say we are helping other people, oh, why can't you do free? Why can't you do pro bono? Well, it doesn't matter at what kind of business things you want to do. It's entirely up to you, whether you want to do free, you want to do pro bono or whatever. But I believe in creating a sustainable business model, an ecosystem where when we are able to plow into somebody else's lives, we also deserve to be rich as we add value to other people's lives.
That's so interesting to hear you say. I've never even thought about I guess isolating that spelling of the word. It's funny now that you say that, but it makes so much sense. And I just have one more question for you, and I'm gonna let you get on with your evening because I know it's late for you over there. Um, if I put your 10-year-old self in front of you today, having been through your incredible journey, both with your career and also just life in general, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give that 10-year-old self moving forward?
Well, pull yourself up, stop crying, keep your chin high, and keep looking forward. Only when you stay focused on your dreams that your diamond that is within you deserve to shine.
That's such a nice message. And I think I ask that question to everyone, and some people say, if only I could go back and say that, maybe my life would be different. But you've certainly turned things around for yourself from where you were. That incredible story in the beginning at 14 to how you've ended up now is incredible and very inspiring for everyone to hear. So I just want to say thank you so much for giving up your time to share your story, which I know will help my listeners. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening, and as always, please rate, share, and leave a comment if you like what you hear. And don't forget to follow @WhatIt'sLikePod on Instagram and Facebook. Genecia has kindly gifted listeners free access to her book, Secrets of Personal Branding, and course on how to delegate 80% of your to-do list to your assistant so that you can focus on your zone of genius. Follow the links in the show notes to find these and also to keep up with Genecia's work. I'll be back next week with more inspiring stories, but for now, this has been What It's Like with Luce.